What's up, Tiger Gang? This is JT from the Poko Moonshine Family. We're back again with another episode of Chatting with Carnivores. Today we got CarnivoreScott. How you doing, bud?
I am splendid. I'm a little nervous, like I said.
Nothing to be nervous about, man. Everybody's real fun, real chill here. We already got Rick in here saying hello. It's gonna be a good time. But I usually like to start. Where are you from and where are you at now, Scott?
Okay, where I'm from, I try hard not to be too comedic. I was born an Army guy. My father was in the Army. He was a career Army guy. So I was actually born at White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico, the home of the atomic bomb, the Trinity site. And then we lived in West Texas, in El Paso, Texas. We moved to Germany, back to Texas. Then I joined the service after a number of years of kicking around underfoot and served 20 years around the world. And I ended up in Nebraska for a while, did some really cool things. We'll touch on those later. And after 15 years in Nebraska, retiring, owning a small business, I ended up here in northern Alabama, just outside of Huntsville and the greater Hazel Green, Alabama.
Hazel Green, Alabama. What's your favorite part of Alabama?
Um, well, I've learned over my years of traveling that my favorite part is either where I am or where my family is. I don't get too attached to a geographical location. I'm attached to people and emotions and things like that.
Sounds good. So home is where the heart is, right?
Absolutely.
That's what they say. Now, Scott, can you take us? How did you grow up? People like to know how people grew up. What's your story growing up?
I don't suspect that my story is a whole lot different than most people. If you would draw a bell curve, I'd probably fall into the center in some places, and I'm an outlier in others. Again, growing up as a military kid, you have a lot of different focuses, a lot of different things that go through your life. When your father isn't home and is gone a long time because of doing the business of wars or deployments or those types of things. But I mean, like almost being in a single parent home at times, growing up in foreign country, I was so lucky and blessed. I've actually been in the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and they don't even let people in there anymore. I've been in the canals of Venice. I've been in the castles of Germany. I've been in a lot of places that people have never been to. I've seen David. I've been to the Colosseum, right? So very, very blessed and enriched in that manner. Blessed to be in multiple cultures. My father was not a man, or my mother a woman, who believed in hunkering down and trying to stay in little America or wherever we were. They were like, let's go out and experience things. So I would say I had a rather eclectic background, both culturally speaking, musically speaking, art, knowledge. My parents, at least early on, my parents were extraordinarily invested in two things. One of them was our education, and the other was in discipline. And they did not spare the rod, if you know what I mean. And but I think one of the things that I've learned in being 61 now is you make no money looking for a place to place blame, right? You evaluate, you try to understand, you try to show grace, and you try to grow from it. And that's, I think, something we could all remember, because if you're alive and breathing, you should be learning. And if you're learning, that experience should extend to understanding that everybody comes to this moment from a different place. And just because they're not like us doesn't make them wrong. So that was kind of my growing up. Outside of growing up, I was, again, blessed with education and a desire to be educated. So I got a chance to go to school, about to college and high school at the same time for a while, and thought I'd be an academic until I found out about beer, basketball, and women. found out that didn't work well. I didn't play basketball well, didn't hold my liquor well, and school didn't work well. So that's when the military came into play, and I was able to get out of my own shadow, so to speak, to get a little discipline, a little direction in my life.
What were your any battles with food growing up? Were you a skinny kid, fat kid? I was a fat kid growing up, so I literally battled food my whole life.
So I was a little bit of both. And I'll say that I battled food. I have very much realized I have a sugar problem, and my sugar problem is a sweet problem. My mom would talk about having to check my pants pockets because I would steal sugar cubes and put them in there for later, right? And but I was skinny as a rail into high school. They always would joke that I looked like a skeleton wrapped in wet toilet paper. But I'm 6'5" and growing a lot, well fed, growing a lot, and always active. So back in the '60s, mom and dads used to have a rule: out of sight, out of mind, and out of mind means out of discipline. So we were gone. We were running from the minute our feet hit the ground, and we didn't stop. So when you're running out in El Paso, Texas, in the desert and playing football and all those things, it's really hard unless you're doing like 6,000 calories a day. It's hard to put on weight. I'm sorry that, and we didn't have seed oils. Mom made that old fashioned. How do I say it discreetly? We weren't high on the hog. We weren't destitute by any mean, but we didn't live high on that hog. So we ate a lot of, stick to your rib foods, lots of gravies, but lots of fats. We would fight over the fat on the steak, or my dad would put a big roast on the grill, and you could get a knife wound fighting if we trying to get the fat. So
Yeah,
I
that
didn't have a problem with that aspect. But what happened, and what happens frequently, I think, in life is, as my parents got through life and kids got off the payroll, I was child number 3 or 4, and dad got out of the military and got his education and got a really good engineering job. All of a sudden, our family structure was shattered by a few events. One was my father getting a great job, doubling, almost tripling his income. The demands were off because 2 children out of the house. And so what happened was dad started bringing home cases of 2-liter bottles of Coke, pizzas every Friday night, Mexican food all weekend. So all this stuff that probably wasn't inherently good for me ended up being very available. And I got some really bad habits. And then we had a family tragedy, and every family has a tragedy. My oldest brother ended up on the bad end of a car accident. A single person, nobody was there, but the car got parked on top of him accident.
mm,
And as you might imagine, that shatters a family when it's the oldest child, and there was a lot of conflict. And I didn't know this until 10 years ago. I never realized it. My mom, she's an alcoholic, and she lost her sense of purpose when she wasn't the mother that kept the house together and kept the kids all taken care of. My dad waited on her hand and foot. He loves my till this day, even though she passed away a number of years ago. But he doted on her, and she lost her way. She lost her self-autonomy. She ended up in what I always refer to as an alcohol-induced sabbatical. And so lots of bad habits, to include drinking alcohol. Started pretty heavy when I was 16 years old. I used to distill my own in the high school chemistry lab. And so I spent a lot of years, unfortunately, inebriated, and didn't get better with the military. And mental outlook wasn't always great. So food addictions, no, but maybe I did end up, I believe, eating my anxieties and my fears and those things. So coming at it from a slightly different point.
yeah, it's addictions come in all forms, shapes, and sizes. You can be addicted to a person in your life. You could be addicted to something you drink or something you eat. It's crazy. It really is. Could you
Yeah,
take us into your journey into carnivore diet?
sure, sure. So, I think what we need to do is to set it up a little bit is to understand. Okay, so I joined the military, and to get in the military, I had to make my height weight. So obviously, I can be high, I can be as tall as you almost want to be, but they give you a prescribed maximum weight. My prescribed maximum weight was 236 pounds, and I just barely made it in. Had no clue about if I had dropped all the Cokes I was drinking, like the 32 Cokes a day. If I dropped those, I might have been okay. If I dropped all that other stuff, right? But I made it in the military. And of course, you exercise like a fiend and you're young and you're doing all that stuff. And so, um, did lots of reading. I'm very, very keenly interested in all things to do with fitness and health, anatomy and physiology, chemistry, those types of things. Those are the things that spark my interest. So I went through my military career, and I had to always be on top of things, and I was always fighting the battle of the bulge. And I was actually given a waiver to weigh up to 250 pounds. So they did a tape and caliper body fat. And they said I carried enough lean tissue to where I could weigh up to 250 pounds and still be under the 20% body fat maximum they had. Again, big fella. Well, what happened was eventually life injuries caught up to me. And so the weight was getting out of my ability to exercise out of it. You know how they say you can't out exercise a bad diet, right? And so I started out lots of exercise. Used to play full court basketball and lift weights 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and that kept me good. But again, when I had a few injuries and I couldn't do that, things got out of hand. So I did the zone diet back in about 1996, Dr. Sears. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but basically you packaged your carbs, your macronutrients, you packaged them and you made ratios and you just try to keep your ratios right. You end up being calorically deficit. You were prioritizing protein, but I did well. I did pretty good. I responded to it with a lot of exercise. But as we all know, that really isn't the silver bullet. That's not the panacea we're looking for. So I went around and around and around. I got a chance to retire, moved on, did all the things in my life. And I was spending my life at 310 pounds, basically. And, for my height, 310 isn't horrible. But, our society is full of cute little sayings to make it okay to be out of shape, to be overweight, to make it okay to have your chest in your drawers, right? And when I was in Germany, they have a saying that a man without a belly is a cripple, right? And so the thing is I'm fighting this battle, and then finally, about 4 years ago, in fighting it and doing all my stuff, I ran across two things. I ran across Jason Fung's books on the obesity code and the diabetes code. And I ran across Dr. Baker's January carnivore challenge, the 30-day challenge he was doing. And I said, I'm going to do that one because I've done everything else. I even used to juice. Now, I wasn't vegetarian because that just was a bridge too far. But I thought juicing, it makes sense. You take out all the undigestible cellulose. I knew that from my study. Cellulose wasn't going to help. And that juicing thing went really well until I juiced onions and garlic. And then I drank it. And my wife told me, never again, because I reeked for like 4 or 5 days. So anyway, I did the carnivore challenge. I really liked it, but no one around me in my household appreciated or supported it. That was weird voodoo stuff. So I was able to get away with a dirty keto, and I literally have records where I stuck my finger and checked my blood sugar 4 to 5 times a day, every day, for like a year. and I did the ketone strips, and I did all that stuff, and that was unsustainable as well. So eventually, I came back to Dr. Baker. I came back to YouTube, and YouTube was flooded with carnivore stories. And I said to myself, self, what you going to do? And I said, I'm going to do this. So I'm on day 61 now. I can't say I've been 100% carnivore, but I can say been 99.2%, maybe 99.4%. I went to Texas Roadhouse the other day. The wife says, hey, we got to get something to eat and you need some steak. So we're going to go there. And I had the bacon and green beans, little bowl. I ate it. I enjoyed it. I don't regret it. We're moving on.
Yeah, I nobody's perfect, honestly, but it's, as long as we're doing our best and we're getting going towards our results and getting our results, I think
Right?
everybody's winning. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
But nobody's perfect. No, my coach says everybody's ignorant because there's not one person in the world who knows everything. So we're all ignorant, and we all could be better.
I always say that ignorance is curable. It's stupidity that hurts, and that with ignorance you can find a boundary and start to work on it. And some of the most brilliant minds, not by my saying, but by others, have always said that the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Because
So
there's so much to know. You
just
it's
can't know it all. You can't.
no. You just gotta seek after the information that your heart is being drawn to, and then do your best to soak it all up.
That's
What
that's that's true.
what health conditions brought you to carnivore?
Oh my, we don't really have that much time, but
We got it.
okay. So I have a laundry list of things.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with the obvious one, and I'm gonna start off with my why, and we'll circle back to my why. Unfortunately, my why wasn't my beautiful wife. It wasn't my 7 grandchildren, my 3 children. It had nothing to do with that, and everything to do with the belt buckle. See, in all my efforts, what caught my attention was how painful it was as my belly leaned over my pants and hit my belt buckle. And I'd always wondered why people who have been gifted with adipose tissue tuck their shirts in, because it seemed to amplify the condition. Then my ignorance was cured because it hurts. It doesn't have to be some complex thing, right? It hurt. I said, what am I going to do about it? Because I couldn't get to my shoes. I couldn't do some things. Just a lot of mobility issues. But it was that belly on the buckle, and that should be a T-shirt. Belly on the buckle that really ended up being my why to stick with it. But to get to the serious part of it, okay, so I have lots of spinal problems. I got in my cervical spine and my lumbar spine. I used to do a lot of heavy powerlifting. I call it heavy, not anywhere near world records, but anytime you have 500 pounds on your shoulders and you squat, and I think that's a lot of weight, but things like that. And then I think I wore out some things. I had some mishaps in the military, not to go into too much, but I've been on fire a couple of times, fell down some flights of stairs and things like that. And so it didn't work out well for me in that way. In those prolonged healing periods, I ended up with asthma, sleep apnea, lots of breathing challenges, shoulder issues. Had to have surgery. I had to have a major surgery for the right side. You can't really tell, but there's a lot missing here now. That to go in and cut out some muscles, fillet them, throw them away to make some room for my long thoracic nerve to work on the right side. They did some what they call a brachial plexus neurolysis to deaden the nerves here. And so the long and the short of that is I played basketball like a proverbial sissy. I used to love to play basketball right-handed, and then I play like a sissy because I just don't have that motor control. Problems with my ankles. I broke one ankle in 4 places, and things like that. So lots of physiological things, but I think the worst thing is not only the fatty liver, but I have an enlarged portal vein, and there can be problems with that down the line. So very motivated in um, trying to get that alleviated. And when we had the worldwide pandemic is when they found it. And to this date, there's been no further testing to find out if I've gotten worse or not. But whatever it is, and I'm doing what I think is best.
Absolutely. Have any of those conditions gotten better on carnivore?
I would say that the short answer is yes. So with my sleep apnea, a lot of people report sleep apnea gets better, and yes, my sleep apnea is better. But I have two types of sleep apnea. So you can have obstructive sleep apnea, which basically a large neck, heavy person, possibly poor musculature for your jaw, which causes your jaw to retrograde back into your throat and all that. That has gotten much better. But I also have what they call central sleep apnea. That means my brain forgets to breathe. And that's probably associated with some TBIs I have from my time in service. So, the obstructive sleep apnea can get better, but I'll never not have it because of my conditions in my brain that I know of now. What can happen after prolonged period of proper human diet, higher ketones in my going across the blood-brain barrier, less seed oils? It remains to be seen. Hope springs eternal for me in that regard. But as far as inflammation, other than this little finger, this finger right here, that little joint, that's the only one that gives me a hard time. Otherwise, I am much better as far as inflammation, pain. And the other day, you know what? I don't know if it happens to you. I don't know if it's happened to other people you've interviewed, but all of a sudden you find yourself doing something that you never did. Like I did a little hop, skip, and a jump so that something that was in between my legs wouldn't trip me. My wife was like, where'd that come from? I said, I don't know. It could happen again. Stand clear. Today, I actually went over a fence. It's a hard, thick wrought iron fence. It comes up to about my hip. I didn't want to have to walk all the way down the sidewalk, all the way back down to get to my wife. So I just put my hip and swung my legs over and walked over. I was like, hey, that was cool. But the number one thing was I was able to trim my own toenails because my gut wasn't in the way. So the what do you call it? The bloating. Oh my lamb, the bloating. Yeah, that's probably the second thing that I find the best.
Yeah, I think people take those little things for granted, bending over, tying your shoes and not getting out of breath, or, getting your belly caught in the belt buckle, belly on the buckle. That is a good shirt one. You got to do that, man. Belly on the buckle.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I bet you there are more things. Obviously, I feel I'm losing that subcutaneous fat in places like my shoulders, right here on my collarbone area. I actually noticed that there's a difference between my back and my rump. There's actually like a defined difference between the two. Of course, I still take two mirrors to look in the back, but it's kind of a wide load. But I'm getting there. I'm 61 days. I'm down about 25 pounds. I'm down a couple inches. I have been chronicling. I have been taking some photographs that will remain in a locker until the appropriate time of my success. But trying to do some things, and I'm hopeful that that the changes will be that type of change that creeps up on you. I don't really need the, oh my gosh, I suddenly lost a whole bunch and now people think I have cancer or something. I don't want that kind of success. But the success I want from all of this has nothing to do with accolades, but more to do with being able to engage life more completely than instead of saying, how do I plan my day around this trip? My wife likes to go on hikes. All right. I see Lioness is in here. How you doing? Um, she likes to do
Bill's watching you
hikes.
too.
Oh,
Shout out
okay.
to
Hey,
Bill.
hey, hey, Bill. Um, but I like to go with my wife to do things. We're married 31 years, very lucky guy. And she is a very outgoing, active person. And she was starting to do things with other groups of people because she understands that I have some physical limitations. So now we just take my walking stick out with me, and I'll make the decision. Yes, I can or I can't, and we'll attempt things, and it's working out pretty well. I'm looking forward to doing more of it.
It's awesome. Yeah, just take it one day at a time, and if you're feeling like you want to jump over the fence, give it a try like you did, right? Never know.
Well, I was out in front of a hospital, so I did have the advantage that there were people there, and they have a tow truck to pick me up just in case.
So it was, the odds were in your favor. Let's check a
Exactly.
few comments here. Susan Hampton, notification on. Hey, how you doing? Let's see here. Got a little delay here in my clicking. Now we get to see his story. Yes, Rick. I've been waiting to hear Scott's story.
There are many chapters we haven't gotten. We're only in the introduction. I'm sorry.
Quartzite Carnivore says, you got this, Scott.
I like quartzite. That's a great mineral.
Bubba, he said he hit the first like. Thanks, Bubba. You're the man, dude.
Yeah.
Talk to Bubba all the time. Love that guy. Susie, how you doing?
Hey, Susie.
Let's see. Allison, hello, fam. Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
Hey there. Hope y'all are having a nice evening. Hey, Carrie.
Hey, neighbor.
No insanity. Renee, such a beautiful person. So generous.
Yes.
How you doing? Limitless Lindy, how you doing, girl?
Hey, how's it going down under?
Hey, everyone, made it. Yes, you did. Love you for making it. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Let me go down here. If you guys got a question for Scott, please put a Q in front of it. It's a little easier for me to read. Primal Mike says, hi, family.
Hey, Mike.
Rick says, I remember kids going everywhere when I was younger.
That's right.
Yeah, now you got to really be careful where your kids are, man. You really do.
Get on your bikes and you'd ride, and we do things that would make parents shudder to think of. Digging forts out in the desert, smoking our cigarettes, thinking we were cool, never knowing that it could all just crush in on us and bury us all the time. Yeah. Jumping off of roofs. We jump off a roof thinking we were paratroopers and just jump off roofs and hit the ground rolling, and we'll play chicken with screwdrivers because we couldn't afford knives. And yeah, so all the fun stuff. We used to light our hands on fire and walk around the house with torches, like, hey. Kid do that today, your parent would get thrown in jail.
Oh my gosh, real fast. Meeting wellness. Now I can participate in the chat, not like earlier.
Hey, thank you for your help today.
Let's see. Rick says, my parents used Wesson oil and margarine. Let's see. Mentor Jessica. How you doing, Jessica? You get your comment up here. Yes, we didn't have this artificial food. Yeah, not like nowadays.
Man.
Rick says, had DuPont Silver Sun pans? Never heard of those, Rick. Have you heard those?
I think some of that chemical is probably going to be lodged in my body forever and ever.
Mentor Jessica, as kids, we felt punished if we were in the house. Yeah, you got to get out.
What's funny about that? What I'll tell you, my mom had this rule. Like I told you, they're really big on the education thing. And during summer break, we had to read books. And so we could be called in for lunch. We eat lunch. We had to read a book for an hour. And every Friday we had to give a book report. And my mom knew those books, and we really had to do this, And so there was no escaping the education aspect of summer. But other than that, and then she came up with this crazy idea. She made us do all the chores in the house for 1 week, right? So I was son number 3. I had the third week, had to cook, had to clean, had to do the laundry, do the dishes. If we had a sock that had a hole in it, you had to learn how to darn, how to put on buttons, how to sew clothes, how to go shopping. I mean, you had to do it, everything mom did. And I'm very thankful because it took a long time for me to find someone gullible enough to marry. So at least I knew how to keep my house up. But yeah, otherwise we were outside.
Yeah, that helps in the meantime, right?
Hi,
It helps the
Susan.
me time. Susan, hey Scott, hey G, how you doing? Laura says, hi tribe, how you doing?
1.5 thumbs.
You guys got the approval from him here. Woodster, hey everyone, glad to be here, getting to watch this interview. Yeah, man,
Hey,
I'm glad
what's
to be
good to
doing it.
see you, buddy?
Glad I'm awake from that live stream.
That's no joke.
Meeting Wellness says juicing sugar bomb.
Yeah.
Oh, here's
Yep,
a
yep.
funny one. Mike says, is it just me or Scott look like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Why you want
He
to get
is
so
look
bad on Arnold? He's a good guy.
No, he's looking good, man. He's looking good. He's on Carnivore, so yeah, man. Who knows? Scott might be the next Terminator, Terminator 9, whatever the next one is.
No, and I've been in movies, right?
I've heard something like that.
Yeah,
We got
yeah,
to
yeah.
get you in
I did.
Terminator now, or the next Predator, something with Arnold been
No,
in.
no, 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 no. I play a bad guy anymore. When I get a call, it's always to be a bad guy, never to be the to be the romantic lead. But that's okay. I'm happily married, and that's okay.
Yeah, what was it? Jackie Chan says he refuses to play a bad guy in any movie. He said he always just wants to be a good guy, otherwise he won't accept the role. I said that's cool. He's got a standard, he sticks to it.
But he's got talent too, and I'm not really talented in this stuff. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna go out there and go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My job is to stand around and look intimidating, and I've got that in spades.
Well, then, yeah, know what you're good at and get better at it. That's what my coach would say. Don says, good evening. I'll have to catch the replay. Bad internet where I'm at. Oh, sorry about that. But thanks for
Bummer.
catching the replay. It's definitely going to be worth it. Oh, here we go. Susan, I have severe obstructed sleep apnea, but it's better. I have not used my CPAP in 4 years. Wow, that
Amen.
is awesome. Good
That
for
is
you,
great.
Susan. My sleep apnea is gone as far as I know. I haven't had any issues like before, waking up and not breathing.
Hey,
Who's your
who's your
carnivore? Brett is our carnivore. That's who's our carnivore. Back for my
That's
walk. Hey, everyone. Hey, Brett.
sweet.
And we got Bill. Hey, JT. Hey, Scott. Bill, love you, dude. Hopefully the rain is calming down for you, buddy. Let us know in the comments, Bill. How's the rain? Do you play guitar, Scott?
No, it's just a nice prop.
You got two props then.
Yeah, I got a couple props.
Nothing wrong with props.
They'd actually work, but just I only have half a thumb, and so it's a challenge, But we're working on it.
Hey, you're doing good, man. Midlife Carnivore. Hey, Scott, keep your hope for healing of your sleep apnea. Since the carnivore diet can help Alzheimer's, it may help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Had a great conversation last night with our midlife carnivore, and I learned a lot of good stuff about mast cell syndromes.
She's very smart.
Oh yeah.
Rick, the 40-year carnivore. That's crazy. I could actually bite off my own toenails. Yeah, you got no belly, Rick. That's funny, man.
That's a measurement I'm not at, and I'm not sure I'm aiming for that one. But hey, good on you, brother.
Everybody, say what's up to Bill, man. Show him some
Hey.
love. He's in his journey, and he is just killing it, man. Doing the punching bag and stuff, man.
Man,
Like
I
I
tell you,
can't even hit that hard yet.
yeah. When I see him hit that bag said, "No, it's flinching." I've never seen a bag flinch.
I
It's
know
like,
it is flinching. It's like, please stop, Bill. And Bill is like, take it.
well, I think that when he gets it, he's giving it a little bit of that hip action to it, saying, "I'm gonna get up on my feet one day, and you're not gonna stand it." And I love Daisy, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a flower guy. I love the flower arrangements. I love
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Keep them up.
Bill is killing it, man. And go hard on that bag, man. Don't show it no mercy. DC Learning Live, David. Hello, carnivores. HAD. How you doing, David? David says, thank you for your comments before, Scott. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You'll
put a
find
Q.
I'm a very comment heavy guy.
Here we go. Twin Maples, how you doing? Thanks for being a member. Question, how long on carnivore?
61 days.
Wow. He's killing it, guys. Undiagnosed Lioness, thank you for being a member. Hi y'all. How you doing?
Hey.
Question. Here we go. Yeah, keep putting Q's in front of there, or right question. That's fine too. How did you catch on fire? I may have missed it letting the dog out.
Well, I did it twice, and one was in a tent. So we were out on maneuvers. So I was in the Air Force. I'm the hippy dippy weatherman. That's what I do. I'm the weather guy. You come into my stream. Sometimes you'll see a satellite pickup. I can pretty much gin up a forecast for anywhere in the world or almost any time. But that's what I did. But I spent a third of my career doing direct Army support. When the Army and the Air Force split, matter of fact, our birthday was just day before yesterday. Yesterday, yeah, maybe today. But anyway, the long and short of it is that when the Army Air Corps split from the U.S. Army and became the Air Force, the weather for aviation went with the Air Force, but there was a stipulation that the Air Force would always provide weather support for the Army. So I spent a third of my career working for organizations such as the 1st Armored Division, the 32nd ADCOM, 21st TACOM, 3rd COSCOM Forward, and people like that. So lots of Army time, and we like to go out camping and go camping in the winter, and it's cold, and people like to be warm. And so what would happen is people would turn the heater, we call the 1941 potbelly stoves. What you basically do is you take diesel fuel in a can, it's a 5-gallon jerry can. You turn it upside down, you run it through a hose, through a carburetor, into a burner, you light it on fire, and it kind of just lets it out nice and slow, and you change the thing out. And then you have a big stack goes through the tent. And guys, for some reason, they want to crank the heat up so high that you can almost see through the pipe. The pipe would be white hot. I mean, the steel would be just incredibly hot. And when they did that, what would happen is the material that they make the carburetor out is the same stuff you make lunch trays out of, and it would crack, and then the fuel would leak out, and then the fuel would catch on fire. And I woke up to a tent, and basically we were inside of a great big mantle. If you ever seen an old lantern with a mantle, we were inside that when it went. So when the tent went up like that, and I hit the ground, training's really good. My mask came up to my face. I rolled out into away from the fire, got up, realized, see the people running around in there, and then we put out the fire and took care of things. So that was one time. The second time was kind of my own fault. Are you all ready for a stupid people in the news story?
We're ready.
Anybody? Bueller? Okay. So here's the dealio. One summer I was out grilling, all for you grilling friends out there, okay? So I had a nice little pit boss type offset smoker. Are you following me? I grill for everybody in the neighborhood. I always did a lot of grilling, and I'm doing some. Have you ever heard of a beer can chicken? Where you basically take a chicken, you put it in a can of beer, and you slow roast it, and the beer from inside the can, and you could use any fluid, would keep the inner cavity moist, and you let the smoke and the temperature. Anyway, I was doing that, and I'd already cooked the other stuff, and the chicken was still doing it. It takes a while. And I had a whole big bed of coals in the offset. Well, the coals were going out. So I threw some more coals in because more coals makes more heat, right? Well, they sank down into the dust of the previous coals. So they were kind of smothering. So I got out the lighter fluid, the big can of, right? And I went at the plastic bottle. And so I went on the coals. And nothing happened. So I closed all the lids. I went in the house, got the fire starter, the long little stick. And I went down to a little air hole, there's a little draft hole at the bottom, and you got the stack over here. I went down and I put the little thing in there, and I went click. And when I went click, it was stupid people in the news, but I used different words. As the fire came back and it engulfed me, and I was on fire. And so no bueno. But here's what happens. I had the lighter fluid in one hand and a lighter in the other hand, so on fire with flammable materials. I hit the ground, did my stop, drop, and roll, rubbed my face all over the concrete. It was a beautiful thing. And when I got back up, I said, I can see. And I went back in the house. First I checked the chicken. Then I went back up in the house. And anyway, I served the dinner, and then after dinner I went to the hospital and I got treated for that. But don't do that, okay?
Absolutely.
Don't do that. It hurt a lot.
Another thing, guys, please do not do is if you're already have a fire going or it's going out, do not use lighter fluid again, because the lighter fluid could get caught on fire and then it goes back into the bottle and
Mhm.
explodes the bottle in your hand and could kill you. Seriously,
Yes.
guys, and I'm sure somebody's probably done it already. Um, Please, you could
So,
kill yourself. If just use lighter fluid before the fire started. Then if it doesn't start again, find some other way, but don't
right.
stick that bottle anywhere near, because if it's going down to the fire and it comes back up the liquid into the bottle, you're holding a bomb in your hand and you literally could kill yourself. Just putting that out there, guys, because I know we're doing a lot of grilling and cooking.
Right. And so that is what happened. What happened is all the residual heat, the fumes, was creating a compressed explosive device.
Yeah,
And when I closed everything off and the top was closed off, it had nowhere to go but back onto me, right?
yeah,
So the point in that story is, now I wasn't drinking. I wasn't drinking at that point in time in my life, but it was just this idea that um, you make mistakes.
yeah.
So,
Accidents
so
happen.
do, and
That's why they
I
call it
paid for it.
accidents and not on purposes.
Right. My eyebrows grew back pretty well. My mustache grew back. My eyelashes grew back. But I kind of looked like the guys from like Alice Cooper or whatever, because it was all running down my face at that point in time.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, those are great tips, you guys. Don't stick your face near it, and don't hold the bottle when you're pouring onto a fire. Please do
and
not.
don't put your thumb in a lawnmower. Okay, that's the other thing. Okay, so don't do that.
Yeah, we got some great tips here tonight, Scott. We're killing it,
Yeah.
man.
Hi.
Marvin, howdy from East Texas, keto/carnivore for 3 years. Hey, good for you,
All right,
Marvin.
we're at East Texas. If you're from Texas, let me know. I grew up in El Paso, and my first duty station was in Abilene, Texas. So
Let Scott know, Marvin. We're from in Texas. We'll get down there. I'm still getting through the comments here. We got a bunch of them. Diane
good.
Augustine, we are so excited about it. We have guests already booked through December. Okay. Let's see if we can find a question. Wick goes carnivore. Hey, how you doing, bud?
Hey, good.
Twin Maples, we have been carnivore 6 months, but about 3 months in, bit of a hiccup. Hey, no one's perfect. I was just saying that.
Yep.
Just do your best, and little kids fall down all the time, but they chuckle about it and they get right back up and start playing again. So that's what we got to do. We got to tune into our inner child. It's always been there. We're still the kids we used to be. I really believe that.
Yep.
Susan, hey everyone over here on JTA, and hey everyone on Scott's channel. Shout out to everybody watching. Doesn't matter what
Yeah.
you're on, Facebook, Twitter. Susie, here's a question. You want to take this one, Scott?
Sure. It says, what is your favorite cut of meat? Also, how often do you eat in a day? So my
Good
favorite
question,
cut of meat
Susie.
is the cut of meat that's available in the moment. I'm not a picky eater by any means. I love hamburger. I can cook. I have a slow cooker. I can cook it with a slow cooker. I can smoke it. I can slice it, dice it, ginsu it. So I'm not particularly overly fond. I don't have a money tree out back, so I'm not eating ribeyes every day. But it's the meat. Now I do prefer beef over chicken, and but I can eat me some yard bird. There's no yard bird that won't survive around me. Pork is okay. I get a little dry sometimes, so then I need to do like a pulled pork, and then you end up having some sweets or stuff with that maybe. So not so much with the pork. Let's see what else. I love seafood. I love if it's a meat, I'll eat it. And I've eaten most of it. I've eaten snakes and I've eaten goats and sheep and those things like that. So yeah, I'll pretty much eat it. Yeah. So how often do I eat in a day? Well, now that's kind of tricky. I eat at least twice a day. I would say one primary meal and then one smaller meal. Today breakfast was a few pieces of sausage patties and 4 fried eggs. But then dinner might be anywhere between 10 to 14 ounces of hamburger or a 16-ounce steak. It anywhere in betwixt.
That's a good answer. Mathayu, hopefully I said that right. Hello and good evening. Natalie, hey Scott, JT, and fellow carnivores, how you doing? Let's see.
Hey, I've got one here at 7:42 from Keto Viking. Can I hit that real quick?
I'm just trying to just make sure we show. We'll get there in 1 second.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
oh, she's showing love to both channels. Thanks for being on Scott's too. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Oh yeah. Before we get, man, my thing is just nice here. Okay. Let's get out Scott some more subs tonight. We'll get to that question. Just let me pull up your channel here because we do got to get you some more subs tonight. Share screen, click this, boom. You guys go subscribe. CarnivoreScott. We got 301. We can definitely do better than that. We're gonna get him up here. He's look, he's live right now. He's constantly adding stuff to his YouTube channel, more content. Yeah, I like the hat, man.
Yeah.
What's that logo on there?
United States Air Force is a United States Air Force retired hat.
Nice. How many dogs you got?
I have two dogs, Baby and Tinker, same litter, mixed between Australian Shepherd and a Blue Heelers.
Baby and Tinker, you guys, make sure you subscribe. You're even missing out on his dogs, his live streams, his shorts. Oh, you just busted out the fire pit, Scott?
Oh yeah. I got a fire pit out back. The temperature's finally getting below 5 million degrees, so we threw that up. I've got a pet project going out back. I've got a pavilion I've been working on the past couple of years. Got a fireplace that I'll be putting up in the next couple of weeks, so I can have fireside chats later on.
That'd be fun. Natalie, it was an excellent chat last night with Scott and Lynn. Yeah, Scott was just saying that he got a bunch of good info from Lynn, Midlife Carnivore. Check her out too. Bill, rain is still off and on. Water level still slowly rising. The next week will be interesting. Dang, Bill. Keep us posted, buddy, man.
Absolutely. We're praying for you, brother.
I've had you in my thoughts and prayers, Bill. Hope the flood water behaves. Yeah, exactly, you guys. Say a prayer for Bill and those waters and everybody else out there, too, dealing with it. Last surgery, what anesthesiologist said you have sleep apnea. Goes to a specialist. Anesthesiologist today said no snoring, no apnea. Carnivore 7 weeks. Wow.
That's awesome.
I'm telling you, man, me included, man, there's a lot of people getting off the sleep apnea machines. I never got one. That's why I almost died. So, yeah.
I have a spare one.
Yeah, no, I refused to get one and it almost killed me. So, make sure you guys do it the right way. Have the machine, get on carnivore, and then when the machine, you can get machines that count how many times you stop breathing in a night. And if it goes down to 0, hell, man, get rid of the machine and stay on carnivore. But use the machine until you can get rid of the machine. That, does that make sense, guys? Don't be stupid like I was. Ketoing Viking. Carnivore Scott, just imagine if our military were fed a proper human diet today, our military would be absolutely amazing. Yeah, it would be even better than it is, honestly.
Well, I gotta put a caveat on that. No, I only did 20 years, but
oh, that's it.
I think the military can be and is fed a good diet, maybe not an ideal diet, but for what they're asked to do, they are. But one of my challenges, and I did spend 4 years working as a data analyst, the manager of the data quality of an Army facility. And one of the big challenges I see is, and I think it's prevalent throughout our medical community, is we're not doing what I believe are the proper tests at the proper time, i.e., when you start to show the beginnings of metabolic syndrome, i.e., you've got that Carpenter's disease, your chest is in your drawers. When you start getting bigger than your belt buckle, that's the time they should do an insulin challenge on you. The test like a 3-hour glycemic the 3-hour challenge, and find out what your profile is about how is your insulin level returning to normal, is it staying elevated? Because the cost to the American taxpayer is incredible, because that's a pre-diabetic condition. Now, we already know you're in a very stressful situation, so cortisol, it's going to be an issue. We already know that you're in a situation where your circadian rhythm is disturbed because of the nature of what we do. But given that we know the outcomes, let's go and do better testing instead of just saying, well, your blood glucose was less than 110, you're not diabetic. Now, that doesn't cut it anymore. We should really be doing intervention type testing to sit there and say, is this active duty person's insulin and either beta cells in their pancreas functioning properly. And then from there, go and treat and do some things and do some modalities and not wait till you have 10 years of the disease and now they're retired and it's costing you so much more money. Just my editorial. I apologize.
No, you're
Back
all
to
good.
the scheduled program.
Nothing nothing to apologize, but love me some beer can chicken, Brett says. Yeah, man.
Just don't light yourself on fire.
Let's see. Bill saying he'll be back in a sec. Okay, Bill. Burns are the worst. We will not try that. Yes, he's giving out some great advice. I believe, man, there's something to learn from everybody, even if it's something you wouldn't do. You know, like, oh, okay, I wouldn't do that. You know, like,
Go.
right? Um, let's see here. Carnivore Soldier, how you doing, bud?
Hey, good
Carnivore
to see you,
Meals.
sir.
Yep. Truth. Yep. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Bubba, question: is Scott not the best carnivore storyteller, or what? He is a good man and provides good place for many to chat on his channel. Yeah, Scott's a good guy. It's why I invited him on here, and it's just another beautiful story to add. And each story that gets told, it affects somebody in a very positive way. So I'm obsessed with sharing people's stories, man. And I was just talking to Scott. You guys wonder why I don't put myself on the thumbnails. Uh, Nothing wrong with other carnivore channels, but I don't put myself on my thumbnail because it's not about me. It's about who I'm interviewing, and today it's about Scott. Let's see here. I'm looking for the cues. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah. You keep talking about the T-Rex costume. If you get it, I'll definitely wear it. I'm all about living life.
I love
Okay.
the baking costume.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm thinking I might put that up for like a some sort of giveaway on the YouTube channel here, and
Cool.
whoever's anybody's interested, they can get my bacon suit.
Carnivore
Carnivore
soldiers in
Soldier,
Austin. Sweet.
Austin.
We used to go down to Austin and hang out back a long time ago. Before I joined the military, I worked in bars as a bouncer, and one of the bars was at the airport in El Paso. We'd close the bar down, get on a red eye, and head out to San Antonio, or we'd head to Austin, and actually caught Stevie Ray Vaughan playing there, just a late night jam session, you know. So it's pretty good back in the day. You can get those red eyes like that.
Yeah, I did security part-time on and off sometimes, and man, I had a lot of fun beating up drunk people.
Oh, I never beat anybody up. I just encouraged them to leave before it became a
That's what
problem.
I did, and until they don't listen, then I would clunk their heads together and I'd throw them both down the stairs, and then I'm telling them they can. I don't care if you guys want to fight, you just don't do it in the bar and you don't wreck up the owner's stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's my job, is to get them out of there and do it on the street. Rob, yes, Scott is
Yeah, I
the
know.
best at telling his life stories. I have to chuckle sometimes with his dry sense of humor. Man, he's great, man. I'm telling you, like I enjoy everybody's um yeah, as long as you have a sense of humor, I enjoy it, man, because everybody's is different, you know. And some
Yeah.
people really aren't sense of humorish type, and that's okay. That's okay. But Scott does have one, and I appreciate it. Dang, your Angels were working overtime. Lucky you survived that one too. Yeah, Scott's he's putting his guardian angels to work. That's for sure.
We have a
Hey,
we have this story around the house and people who knew me. So, you know, before, so I'm a born again Christian. And back in 1992, I was born again. But before that, I was not a good person, as you might imagine. And people who come up now and they go, "Wow, what happened?" You know, I was, well, we buried him in Albuquerque. But yeah, there were people who still say that. Do you remember the movie The Lion King?
oh my goodness, I'm trying to forget it.
Okay, so remember how when the hyenas were saying something and they would mention the word Mufasa?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are angels who, if they hear my name, they go, no, no, no. They're in the retirement home. Yes, I definitely I've been very blessed, and God must have a reason for keeping me, because I should have been taken a long time ago.
Hey, you're here sharing your story and you're connecting with people and helping them get their health back. So there is a reason, man. I'm telling you, this
Yes.
carnivore is now's the time, bud. Carnivore back, John. You guys, he's one of my moderators. I gotta shout him out. I got his T-shirt on. Look at this. It says Carnivore Diet, It's got a wolf, and then it says "Stay Wild."
That's awesome.
How cool is that shirt, man? Got that from John. And if anybody else, man, I'm getting to the point where I need moderators. The more the merrier, because that way, if John doesn't make it in here or something, the more the merrier, because we've been getting some trolls in here lately.
Give me a
Yeah.
troll. Give me a troll. I'll rip his head off.
This ain't a bridge, so we don't want no trolls hanging out, man. You know, pick a different bridge. He has a good sense of humor. Yeah, he does. What is carnivore sauce? When you cook steak or any meat in the pan, deglaze the pan with vinegar or some sort of scraping the browned meat bits, add cream and reduce.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the classic way of deglazing. You could use a sherry, or you could use any one of a number of things. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not that sophisticated. I take it out and it's really ugly.
Here's a question. You want to take this one, Scott?
Sure. Do I incorporate dairy in any way? Yes. I don't have a problem with cheese. I just don't do too much cheese. So in other words, I got some smoked Swiss cheese, a little bit with some summer sausage. Right, I'm good with it. I'm cognizant that for me, what will affect me negatively, and everything else is fair game. I used to do a lot of heavy cream, not so much with heavy cream, and I am officially a butter abuser. I'm sorry. I abuse butter like nobody's business, and I'm okay with it. What?
What about coffee?
Oh, yeah.
You drinking coffee?
Yeah, I can go off coffee. It takes me 2-3 days, a headache or two, and I can go off, but I choose not to. Right now, my daughter, who knows that her dad loves coffee, bought me a coffee of the month type thing. So I'm out there grinding. I'll actually roast my own coffee. I'll get raw beans and roast them. I'll do all sorts of different things, but I will have coffee, and there will be coffee. And I'm not picky. I have freeze-dried coffee up there. I've got it all because it's all good to me. So for me, when I get to the point where I have to do 100% more effort to get 2% more yield, I'll drop the coffee. Right now, I'm at the point of time where all I need to do is maybe pass up the dozen donuts and I get a benefit. And it's an evolutionary thing. There's a book I know you like books and stuff. So there's a book that the title of it is "What Got You Here Won't Get You There" by Dr. Goldsmith.
What got you here
won't get you there. Yeah, what got you here won't get you there. It's kind of like a turn on the phrase of the Peter Principle, which I'm sure you're aware of. But what Dr. Goldsmith said here is that you got to figure out your questions and your challenges and what you're going to do. And then when you elevate to a new level, you got to reevaluate and readdress those. You can't use the same measurement throughout the continuum, right? So I'm at this stage where I need to lose one doctor said, I asked him how much weight to lose. He said, about a Backstreet Boy. I said, look, I could have taken 2 guys from Menudo, but not a Backstreet Boy, right? So when I get to that point where I'm looking for that last 20 pounds, then I'll start to refine. But I think, like today, my scale hates me, by the way. It can't make a decision. It says 277, 278, 277, 278. When that thing says 248, then I'll dial it in more.
Absolutely. Yeah, for a while I was tinkering. It was like 273, 272, 172, then 170. and then all of a sudden, like I was at 169, and then it was like 168, 160. It hits like 3 pounds back and forth for like a week or two. And then all of a sudden I looked, it was like 164. I was like, whoa, like I just dropped.
The whoosh.
Yeah. So it happens. You just gotta stick with it. Natalie, hit the button for Scott and JT. Yeah, man, you guys, if you hit the like button, we are the algorithm, guys. People always talk about the algorithm. We're the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? We like, share, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. It helps Scott get his story out there, and it helps him connect with more people, help more people. Oh, here's one. Retired Air Force. Can you help find our F-15, Scott?
Remember, I was in weather and I was in sales, not production. That's a type of miracle. I think that's an F-35, not an F-15. And no. But I will tell you this. There are a lot of people looking, and I know people who do that, and they're quite good at what they do. I would be less concerned about that and maybe just try to find a way to hold an election that's secure. But that's another topic.
Yeah, you guys can look for the F-15s. I want to know where the UFOs are. I want to know who's got them. Scott, now I ask everybody who's been in the service, have you seen any suspicious activity in the air?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Ah, dang it. I got to know. Either that or you guys are all signing NDAs, man, and nobody's talking squealing or nothing.
No, look. I'm a weather guy, so weather balloons, I'm on that. You know what I mean?
That's why I was saying, I was like, you got to be looking up at the sky if you're a weather guy. You got to see something. Have you ever seen something weird? Any UFOs you ever seen?
No. But this is what I'll tell you. Just for interest and edification of how my mind works. If in all we do, we can't get back to the moon very easily, right? If there's an interplanetary, interstellar travel modality, and they've come to us, do you think we're sophisticated enough to accept it? Do you think that we are going to that they are going to just come in here and go, hey, by the way, you can have this flux capacitor and do all these things? We can't even take care of our homeless people. We can't help people who are hopelessly addicted to sugar, let alone fentanyl. Okay, why would you give anybody the keys to the kingdom in that situation? I think we're better off just keep it away.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and people always like, well, why wouldn't they land on the White House lawn? I'm like, I'm pretty sure we would shoot at them, and anybody, it's like, why would you stand on an anthill? They're probably just gonna crawl up your leg and bite you and stuff. So, like, I think for them, if they are visiting here, man, they're looking at us like, whoa, look at this. And
well, they're probably looking at us. I would think, if that's the situation, I would think they're probably looking at us as more Aboriginal, and they're going, oh, don't hurt the little people, because they're going to send the little pea shooters up at us. We only travel 16 billion light years in 13 seconds, but we can't handle your thermonuclear things. Come on, please. Come on.
And it's also, too, if anybody watched Star Trek, they would also know why they don't land on the White House. It's called the Prime Directive. I mean, just look it up, you guys. If you don't know what the Prime Directive is, then you'll know why they're not landing. But I just got to ask, man, any of this, because the government's doing these UFO hearings, and I'm like, I get anybody in the service who served, I'm like, let me know what you saw. What are we working with?
I saw a lot of pretty clouds.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep your eyes open.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. Looking for some cues. You guys, we're running out of time here. We're already over an hour. He's just killing it, man. It's saying they love John's shirt. Yep, you guys can get your own shirt from John like I'm wearing. Looking for cues. Here we go. Scott, do you fast?
I have, because like I said early on, and reading Dr. Jason Fung's materials, fasting is something I like to do both for my faith and also for body things. I think it's a tremendous tool. I think each one of us have different fasting regimes that will work for us, depending on what you're fasting for. Are you fasting for weight loss? Are you fasting for autophagy? I mean, are you fasting for some type of cleansing process? I don't believe that there is harm in it for most people, unless you're a person who is a type 2 diabetic or you have certain medications you're taking. Then you have to be extraordinarily careful. Most people don't realize most of the medication. Like I said, I do deal with some anxiety, depression issues, PTSD, and it's kind of like a trifecta. And those medications, most of them actually work on your gut biome, and they make you very sick and ill and don't feel well. And so you really have to be very careful.
Why wouldn't that help with your depression?
Pardon me? Yeah.
I said, why wouldn't that help, right? Making you feel like crap when you're depressed. That should knock you right out of your depression. Dear Lord.
Well, then you throw on top of that. And I know we got a couple guys in the military here, and I saw someone throwing something about all the drinking we did in the military. You throw on top of that the fact that you have to be a Superman. You got to be a hero. You don't go to the dock. You don't let people know, because you could lose your clearance. You could lose your job. You don't get to go out there and do the thing anymore. And then they give you powerful narcotics, and they give it to you by the bucketful. Then you go drinking a lot, and then you get to take the psychometric confusing drugs, And I was in that cocktail tailspin for a while. It was not pretty, but through the grace of God, I believe I've survived it. I'm not sure. Who knows what the long term effects are? But the bottom line there is nobody wants to. No one seems to want. No, that's not a true statement. The the outcome of the general consensus is the dollar is more important than the patient. Now, that doesn't mean that the individual doctors, nurses, and people are out to only make a buck, but it does mean that when the synergistic nature, we like to use the buzzword synergy, right? But it works in the negative too. When all those things come together and there is a profit motive or there is fiduciary responsibility associated with it, the outcomes are further and further from the individuals. And therefore, you're left to either trust, good luck, or go out and get your education the best you can and trust but verify. And I think that's where most of us should be, unless you have specific training and knowledge. None of this, of course, is medically advice or medical advice, but that do the best you can and try to understand, understand. I'm amazed by the number of people who don't keep a food journal. Or even as much as I don't mean to be distasteful, I apologize, but do you keep a movement journal? Do you know how often you're doing what you do? Because, you put it in, it goes out, and everything in between is you, right? We work with a high level of ignorance, and then people go to the doctor and say, it hurts when I move my dumaflachi, or my stomach hurts, and it's anywhere between your kneecaps and your chin. Come on, let's be a little more sophisticated about our own bodies. Now, you may not get a doctor that wants to hear about you, but at least you'll be able to sit there and say, maybe this medication is contraindicated. So I had a contraindicated medication that was given to me, one for a psych med and another for an asthma med. And I went to my doctor and I said, these two pills are contraindicated. And he goes, yeah, I did have someone have kidney failure on that one. Hey, I mean, not his fault. They ask doctors to know a lot of stuff. It's incredibly difficult. If it were easy, everybody would do it and there'd be no malpractice, right? So let's not hold them to a standard we don't hold ourselves to.
That's great advice. I like it, Scott. Homesick Buckeye, what's up, everybody? What's up, dude?
The comedian in the house, the singing comedian at that.
Yeah, we grilling,
baby. To you.
We grilling, man. We grilling. We're grilling Scott tonight. He's on the Barbie.
I'm no shrimp.
Hey, what was that movie? Mars Attacks. Yeah, they had aliens in there. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. I'm looking for cues here too. JT Little Boy is a cutie patootie. Thank you. Yeah, I'm William. He's going to be my next co-host. In the future, he'll be interviewing Scott when Scott's like 102 and he's in the next Terminator movie. Oh, Scott, you're fun, dude. I like you. Let's see. Let me see here. Very well said, Scott. Biggest problem is people do not deliberately think. We don't live our lives with purpose. We just react to life instead of leading it. Yeah. You guys, let's pull up his channel here.
And a matter of fact, the whole thing about reacting, I was talking about that even earlier today. JT, you put out a thing about going through doorways, right? And fear and
not being stuck, being unstoppable instead of stuck.
Right. And so in all of that, I got to thinking about, I can't tell you the number of times now I have a short fuse on some things. Now, I have great fuses for people, but I don't have good fuse for mechanical things. Mechanical things should work. If they don't work, I break them. I will rip them apart.
Me too. I do get a little frustrated more than I'd like to admit with electronics, but that's something I got to work on,
Yeah, and same here. So you go to a door and you expect to push it and to go out, and it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm trying to take it off the hinges when it's just to pull it open. Sometimes we have to, assess our situation. It's not always going to be the same. And I think that falls right in line in that you may be thinking, but you're only thinking in your bubble. So it's a complex thing. It's a very complex thing.
Yeah, I remember commenting back today, when people try to force things, my coach said it's like that fly that keeps smacking into the window because it's trying to go outside. If like you said, you keep trying to, push the door open and it's actually a pull. If the fly would just relax, calm down, and rethink its thinking, it could leave the house and go out to freedom 10 feet away out the door. But it gets stubborn, it gets mad, and it tries to force, and it dies on the windowsill.
Well, what it's doing, what that fly is doing is it's letting its um, physical needs drive its ultimate needs,
That's why
and
it
so
stays stuck and it dies right where it's at, man. You
that's right.
cannot
And we
let
do
your
this.
physical world control your thinking. You have to make your physical world around your thinking. You
And
become what you
sometimes,
think about.
sometimes the best way or the quickest way is the longest route. Sometimes you have to suffer a little bit to get where you need to go, and uh, that evaluation period is
Mhm.
ongoing. We're not going to be free from it ever.
No, there's no graduation. We're just gonna try to get 1% better every day, and that's all we can do.
Retired
Scott,
Bob, percent better every day.
right? Scott, you got what's on your mind and your heart? You want to talk about before we wrap things up? What's on your heart, bud?
I would say, well, there's a lot of things. Things move around rapidly in here, but I would say that Bubba Baker says a lot about being kind. We don't know where people are and where they come from, and to show grace to people, but also show some grace to yourself. You're in the battle of your life here. If you're fighting a food addiction, you're fighting society. If you're fighting a multi-billion-dollar, maybe multi-trillion-dollar complex between big pharma, medication, food, you're fighting 40 to 60 years of social normalizations. Give yourself some grace. Give grace to people along the way. Um, I know that I have recently fallen and let my insecurities take hold of things. And the important part is to realize that uh, there are people out there that care. I do believe that in this carnivore community, these are some of the most caring people I've ever been. It's the closest I've been to being back with my deployed unit members. You get real close to those people. So that's what I would say. I would say in that, I guess, in that golden rule thing. But instead of just treating people the way you want to be treated, treat yourself well too. Understand that this battle is tough. That people are there for you, and you are not going it alone.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel alone, and they get depressed and get bad thoughts. I've been there too. So you guys aren't alone, even if you feel like you feel bad and you see other people on carnivore that might be feeling better at their stage, and don't feel down. Don't think that you can't feel better one day. And if somebody is out there and you can connect with them, like Scott, if you're having a bad day, send Scott a message. I'm sure he's the type of guy that's going to message you back and give you some kind words of encouragement and say, hey, stick in there, because we've all had some dark thoughts, man. I've had some dark thoughts, and I am absolutely glad I never acted on any of them, because I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. So if you do have some dark thoughts, please hit up Scott. Please hit up me. Hit up anybody in the carnivore. Just and you guys,
Just
if
reach
someone
out.
does hit you up, provide a shoulder for someone. Don't feel weirded out that someone confided in you. Feel proud that someone did, and then come to their rescue. Do what you can to give them a word of encouragement, and help them out of that. You maybe can't hold them down, but you can help lift them up. I really believe
Don't
that.
assume. Don't assume that behind every smile there's a happy person.
Absolutely.
You know
Some people
there.
are just trying to blend in, and they smile because that's what other people are doing, and that's what I was doing when I had my dark thoughts.
Well,
That's
about a month ago, a month, maybe 2 months ago. Time is hard when you get older. About 2 months ago, a large YouTube influencer took his life.
mm,
Right in the top of his game. So the important part is, and we have this opportunity because we're out there and we're chatting, we're around, and you can notice the traffic, and you can. It's just this idea that they try to tell us veterans, because 22 veterans are committing suicide a day. Um, is that we should feel empowered to say, "Hey, you good?" When you were doing the show, JT, I sent out, "Hey, you good?" Right?
Yeah,
Reach
yeah.
out.
You guys, he checked in on me, man, during the 24-hour live stream. I appreciate it, man.
So just do that buddy check. And if you and I would say, I'd be remiss to say this. If you have questions about faith, there are a lot of faith people that are running in this community, and faith is a tremendous asset to have. And I would be welcome to engage anybody on a faith question, and I will not be a person that says you have to have my faith. I just believe that we need to start understanding we are not alone, and there are aspects of our lives that we have been told to neglect, and we shouldn't do that. So I'm always here for anybody. I always got a joke, a smile, and or a comment on your live stream.
Yep, faith can move mountains, guys. It really can. Before we wrap up, I do want to say, our goal on the 24-hour live stream was to raise $50,000. I know the GoFundMe said it was over because we had money banked up before we started, so that was
Right.
kind of confusing people. But we wanted to raise 50 grand during that 24 hours, and let you guys know we raised $40,000, $40,304.
That's awesome. That is absolutely amazing.
40,304, guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. It almost makes me cry, dude, because we're gonna help a lot of people.
Yep. And
It's
I would tell
beautiful.
you something as a caveat to all that. We didn't mention any of that here. We do it another time. I was a state senator in the state of Nebraska. All right. I sat on the ag committee, the government committee, a bunch of committees, and I have a fairly decent understanding of the political process. And in the 24-hour live and other people talking about we need to do something. And when the two folks from Texas who are doing cattle ranching, right? A lot of people. If anybody ever has a question how to become an effective lobbyist, let me know. I can tell you how to do it, or I can tell you how to not do it. But we are much stronger than people want to admit, and we can do great things if we have a common message. Do not offend. Don't be a bonehead. Understand the process, and you can be much more effective than you think. So if anybody ever has a question about that, hit me up.
There you guys go. This has been. Would you come back, man? This has been awesome.
Anytime.
Cool, cool. You
Yeah, if
guys.
you feel free to come into my after parties. 'Cause I do an after party pretty much Monday through Thursday, and I jumped on last night. It fluctuates.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If send me an email with the link, and then if I'm available, I will hop in there. I tried to do John's live stream on Sunday after the 24-hour live stream,
Oh yeah.
and unfortunately we pushed it back an hour, and I was sitting there on the couch waiting for the stream to start, and I fell asleep, and my head went down, and my neck was hurting, and yeah, it just
Hey,
I
but you
really
got to
thought I could
remember.
make it to John's, and then I was gonna go to bed, but so I apologize to John and Carnivore Soldier. I didn't get to make it, man. I fell asleep before the thing. I sorry about that, man.
But remember this, my friend, and everybody else. YouTube is a tool. YouTube is not a destination.
Right.
YouTube will not validate you. YouTube will not make you feel better. In and of itself, chasing the algorithm will not make your day better. People make your day better, and you got to be with the people in your life. So you got to be with your wife, you got to be with your boy, and it's very easy. We talk about how chips and food are designed to addict us. Well, so is this. So
So is social media. Yeah.
be very cognizant that you are present to the people in your life who love you. I love being here, but don't ever pick me over anybody in your family. Don't ever do that.
Right. Yeah. Family should always come first, guys. It's without it, man. It's you really don't have much in life. You can still have a lot, but I feel like the most important things in my life are my family. So
Okay?
that's a
Amen.
great that's a great way to end it. You guys, my coach always says the first law of learning is repetition. Please replay this and re-listen. There's going to be some good info that Scott gave out, and you might have missed it. Checking a notification on these social medias, like we were just talking about, because they're addicting. So your mind wanders and you miss good info. So rewatch it, replay it. There's value in Scott and there's value in his story. And if you guys, he's
Thank
open
you.
for live streams and hanging out, all that. So hit up Carnivore Scott, man. What's your email so people can start sending you some StreamYard links?
It's really difficult. It's carnivorescott@gmail.com. Just take the
Ooh,
space out right there. Carnivorescott@gmail.com.
there you go. CarnivoreScott at gmail.com. Hit him up. He would love to hang out and do some more live chats and keep spreading the
Absolutely.
message.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's we're all in this together, so let's have some fun with it. As Russ would say, let's have some fun with it.
Absolutely. You guys, I had a blast. That's it for today. We'll see you guys all later. I'll do my heart attack duck face on the way out. Okay, guys?
All right. Thank you.